the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go for a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This week, we're going to be going over the release of 10.1 and exactly what are the main features of the patch, as this patch is due to release. What's the exact date? I can't remember the exact date for some reason. It's the 4th? The 4th in EU, I'm led to believe, if my memory serves me right. But essentially, it's next to reset. So Tuesday for NA and Wednesday, this is next Wednesday, coming for EU. So we will get into the main features of the patch. Obviously, class tuning, there is loads. I'm going to keep it sort of to the more general class tuning in terms of what's happening overall. But we're going to be looking at the zone that's introduced, to the raid, tier sets, etc. We're obviously going over the weekly news. So the weekly boss this week is located in Thaldraszus, and that is Liskanoth, in the very bottom right of Thaldraszus. Battleground bonus event, as well as Burning Crusade Time Walking, are your bonus events for this week. The Battleground one, essentially you get more honor for participating in Battlegrounds, and the Burning Crusade is you do time walking dungeons from the Burning Crusade era, and you can earn reputation, you can earn mounts via these time walking badges. So make sure that you go to Shatrath City to purchase these if you're wanting them. Temple of Hot Mogu is your, brawl of the week. Essentially, it's Temple of Hot Mogu, but there's only 2 orbs. No, there's still 4 orbs. I think there's still 4 orbs. No, there's 2. Everyone's speed is increased, everyone's haste is increased, and generally it's just a faster paced game overall, so you've got to be very quick on your feet and very quick to win the game, essentially. Bolstering, Volcanic, Tyrannical, and Thundering are your mythic affixes for this week. Bolstering, whenever a enemy dies, it will give a buff to other enemies that were near it. This is a damage and health increase, so make sure you kill everything very much at the same time, or don't pull too big a packs if it is spread out. Volcanic, this is simply a volcano will spawn underneath you, a very small one, and push you up in the air and interrupt spellcasting. You simply just sidestep this, and it is no problem at all. Tyrannical, the bosses and the mobs that they spawn have increased health and damage, so bring a talent build that accommodates that. And Thundering is the seasonal affix. Essentially, you get a positive or negative charge and increases your damage by a certain percent. Once this charge is about to finish or end, you want to stack with someone who has the opposite charge. This will negate the negative effects from it, where you will take a lot of damage and get stunned. Master's Call is the spell that we're going to be looking at this week. In terms of our history of spells, it's not had many changes. It's actually one of the more balanced ones. It's kind of like Blessing of Freedom for paladins. It's not necessarily changed a lot, and its base ideology, I guess is the best way to put it, is the same, but it still had a couple changes. So it was introduced in Wrath of the Lich King, and this was a pet-only ability, so you had to tame a specific pet in order to get this, I believe. It had a few changes in Wrath, now makes the pet immune to roots and snares for the duration as well, allowing the pet to break roots on the target even when the pet is rooted. This has stayed in the game ever since. This ability now correctly removes the snaring components of infected wounds, frost firebolt, and slow. A couple mage spells there, just so you know. This ability will now function correctly when the pet is affected by one of the Death Knight's diseases. That seems very weird. What does it mean by... Because a disease shouldn't necessarily affect it from dispelling roots and making, like, the player immune to roots or snares. That seems very weird. Seems like a very weird bug. In Cataclysm, it got a few changes. Now has a 35-second cooldown, down from 1 minute, which is insane, by the way, 35 seconds. And its range has been increased to 40 yards, up from 25. In addition, the visual effect is more obvious. This is where all the pets charge at the target that you use it on, and you can hear like a sort of ding noise almost. The cooldown on Master's Call has been increased to 45 seconds, up from 35. In addition, it can now be dispelled. You can dispel freedom. It kind of makes sense, although you can't dispel freedom anymore. You can only dispel one of the freedoms. And in Cataclysm, it simply just had a new spell effect change. In Legion, it's changed from a level 73 ability to a rank 43 survival honor talent. Oh yeah, honor talents in Legion were a thing. I've got to go over them. I've actually got to go over honor talents. That's something that I need to write down and remember. And in BFA, changed into a level 74 pet ability, again available to all specs. Seems very weird that it was only for survival hunters, Master's Call, considering it was baseline for all hunters because of the pet. Since Wrath of the Lich King in Legion, it was simply just survival hunters that had it, and that's really weird. That's a really weird change, I'm not going to lie. So, 10.1. What's new in 10.1? You have a lot of things. You have the new raid, you have armor sets, or tier sets. You have assaults, new upgrading system, classes obviously are getting a few reworks, buffs, etc. New dungeons and raids. Obviously there's new quests. You have Season 2 of PvP and Mythic Plus. Cross-faction guilds, which is a massive one. Dragon riding, items and rewards, stuff like that. PvP, and more interface options. So starting with the cavern, essentially it's a underground cavern that's underneath the Dragon Isles. You'll be delving into the mysteries of what Neltharion did. Neltharion being Deathwing, the Black Dragon aspect. This is kind of where he did his like devious sort of creations and all of that sort of stuff, and his hidden hideaway almost underneath the Dragon Isles. This is the first zone in World of Warcraft where essentially a zone is directly underneath a plot of land, which is really cool. It's really cool. You can simply fly straight into it via a few entrances throughout. There's a couple in Anaran Plains and one in Azure Span, so you can fly through them in any of these sort of gates. They're not really gates, they're just holes punched into the earth, essentially. But you can gain access to the cavern via these entry points. You have many different, obviously, factions down there, mobs, etc. And it is quite a big open land. For dragon riding, you would think that it's a bit wonky because it's underground, you'd have like a small ceiling. But no, to get in there, it's actually quite a long passage, and then obviously you've got a lot of stuff to kill, or you've got a lot of room to kill. Essentially, you'd think that you'd hit your head while dragonfly or dragon riding, but you actually don't, which is really nice. Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible, is your new raid. This is basically where the Neltharion did his corruptions and experiments. So, a millennia ago, Neltharion carved deep places into the earth where he conducted world-altering experiments. After his death, these sites were lost to time until now. Forces seeking to claim the Earthwarder's legacy raid his dominion in search for powerful artifacts. Now the champions of Azeroth must venture into the darkness and ensure the Crucible's dangerous power doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Aberrus, the Shadow Crucible, features 9 boss encounters. Hazara, who is a very cool-looking dragon. The Hellforged, no idea. The Amalgamation Chamber, these are Drakthir who are looking a bit weird. The Forgotten Experiments, okay, that might be the Drakthir that are looking a bit weird. I don't know the models exactly, I just know a couple of these. Assault of the Zarkali? I think so. Brashok, the Elder, the Vigilant Steward, Zushkan? I'm going to go with Zushkan for that. Magmorax, Echo of Neltharion, and the Scale Commander Sarkareth. That one is a Drakthir, and I know that one. What's really weird about this raid is that there's a lot of, obviously, raid abilities and stuff, especially in the final fight, that are to do with the void. And a lot of people kind of speculate in terms of like the real ending of World of Warcraft will be a giant void versus light kind of thing, if there ever will be a end of World of Warcraft. But they expect a massive expansion on that, like very soon, probably within the next 10 years, I would imagine. They kind of expect that to be the end of World of Warcraft, like that's it. Obviously, I don't think it will ever end. I think that they'll do this for teens and 20s of years still. But it's absolutely insane because everyone sees some void spells in like a raid log and it's like, oh my god, this is a massive hint to everything, and everyone goes crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, these can be hints, these sort of things, to something, but it's very early doors to see. There's obviously a lot that they put into the game, and there's a lot of stuff that they reuse. They kind of chop and change it a bit in terms of spells, the names, and everything, but they use a lot of reused like raid mechanics and stuff for a lot of things. So it's kind of cool to see that they're throwing in some void stuff, because it's kind of cool to see that Neltharion did experiments with void. Obviously because he became corrupted by a old god, and the old gods are essentially just amalgamations that were sent to each planet to corrupt it, and this is for the void that they were sent to the planets. So it kind of makes sense that there is some sort of dealings and, you know, experiments with that, but I wouldn't read much into it. It's very cool though. We have the release schedule for the raid as well. So the week of May 9th, which, okay, it might be the 7th. Oh no, it's the 2nd of May, sorry, that it will be for NA. Because they always go off of NA dates on Wowhead. So May 9th, which is the Tuesday or the week after the release of 10.1, you will get the Raid Finder, as well as normal, heroic, and mythic difficulties will open. Oh, wow. Okay, so they're actually... Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, they're opening mythic difficulty at the exact same time. Okay, that's interesting. That's quite interesting to see. Because they usually open mythic a week later. That means it gives the mythic Race to World First sort of more time to prepare, I guess. They gear more people and stuff. They have an entire week to do that. But I guess they're just opening all difficulties, which is cool. And then a couple weeks after that, May 23rd is the Raid Finder Week 2, or Wing 2. Or a couple weeks after that is the Wing 3 for Raid Finder, and then a couple weeks on June 20th is Wing 4, which is the final bosses for the raid, if you are looking to do Raid Finder with it. It's very simple scheduling, but I didn't think that they would do the Mythic again, like at the same time. I thought that they only did it for the previous raid purely on the basis of Christmas, because the obviously it came out at Christmas time, the raid, and they didn't necessarily want the Race to World First to go on to Christmas Day and stuff like that, because it's just not fun for the players, is it? You want to be spending Christmas Day and like Christmas Eve, like with family, friends, all that kind of thing. You don't necessarily want to be spending it playing a shit ton of WoW and grinding a raid. So, okay, if this is the way that they're going, I'm kind of down for it. We obviously have tier sets. A lot of them look very, very cool. Some of the better ones, in my opinion, look to be like the Warlock. Definitely the Warlock. Actually, no, sorry, I've misseen this. Definitely the Priest. The Priest one looks so cool. So cool. I'll just type in Priest tier set 10.1 and it will bring it up. It looks so like bloody cool. It's unreal. The others are obviously not bad. The Druid one, it might look cooler on a Night Elf or a Cultiran. The model that they've shown it on is all on male humans, and obviously like male, yeah, the male human model isn't the greatest for showing off tier sets, essentially. In my honest opinion, I think there are a lot better ones that you could definitely show it off with. So you can collect the Crucible armor set for unique bonuses to your class. So this is the tier sets, tiers or 2-piece and 4-piece. The Shadow Crucible raid through the Great Vault, or by converting armor pieces via the Revival Catalyst the week of June 13th. Oh my god. That feels bad. That feels really rough, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, yeah. Okay. June 13th, you say. So here's what's happened. So the Revival Catalyst is basically for PvPers. PvPers and those who want to use it to catch up ults, which I can understand for ults. But essentially, what this does is doesn't give your character in PvP its true potential until this date, until the 13th of June. Even then, you only get one piece of gear, because I'm pretty sure that's how they're doing it still. You only get one piece of gear on June 13th. You have to wait 4 weeks after that to get your 4-piece. So it'll be June 20th, June 27th, and then July 3rd or 4th or whatever it would be. So I won't get my 4-piece, as I'm a very big PvPer, until July 3rd or 4th. Which, I mean, gives some replayability. It means that my class can be played a bit differently on this date. But it's kind of annoying that they don't open this up to just... Maybe you could convert PvP items, but then it's more of a fact, or more of a matter of, well, PvEers will just go grind some PvP content. But you can't, because there's a conquest cap as well. I don't know. It makes no sense in terms of opening up this late. I would say give it a few weeks, but, well, I mean, that kind of is a few weeks. It's over a month. I'd say maybe 3 weeks. Not over a month for opening the Revival Catalyst, because by the time that, if you were to release it when the raid releases, you can get your piece of gear, that's fine. You can get one piece of gear. Yep, you can guarantee it. By the time that you get 4 pieces, as a PvPer, just through the Revival Catalyst, you would be on the 7th of June? Yes, you would get it on like the 7th of June, somewhere around that date. Which is another month. You'd still have to wait a month, but now they're just delaying it, essentially. I don't know about that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I would definitely say give the Revival Catalyst at least a couple weeks earlier. Because for PvPers, it just feels awful, because you're kind of just not caring until that set comes through, because that's when it's like, okay, now I can really see the potential of my class, rather than just... I'm not really interested at the moment because it's boring without my tier set. I don't necessarily want to play it without my tier set, because it might be a completely different way of playing, like, after I get it. I don't know. Okay, so, moving on. That's just a small thing. It's a very minor thing, and it only affects PvPers, really. It's still annoying. It is still very annoying, but what can you do? Dragonflight Season 2 begins the week of May 9th. This is for PvP and Mythic. Players will be able to gather their allies and breach the Neltharion secret laboratory in normal, heroic, and Mythic difficulty. The new season also brings new PvP ladder, increased item levels, new reward arenas. Oh, the arena title Obsidian Gladiator. That's cool. Rated solo shuffle title Obsidian Legend. A new weapon illusion, tabard, cloak, pennant, weapon appearance, Obsidian Gladiator's Slither Drake mount, which is very cool, by the way, looks very cool. New dragon riding appearance, and the new vicious mounts for Alliance and Horde. Themed snails. I love the snails, and I'm absolutely going to love the snails. Obviously, Mythic Season 2 is there as well, and this brings a new Mythic Plus rotation. So, Brackenhide Hollow, Halls of Infusion, Alderman, Legacy of Tyr, and Neltharius are your new dungeons for this patch, as well as Freehold from Battle for Azeroth, Underrot from Battle of Azeroth, Vortex Pinnacle from Cataclysm, and Neltharion's Lair from Legion. It kind of makes sense, Neltharion's Lair, Neltharius, you're getting a sort of Black Dragonflight theme for Mythic Plus. Kind of makes sense. A new seasonal reward for Mythic Plus include the 2 new titles, The Smouldering and The Smouldering Hero. Very cool titles. Dungeon teleports and new collaborations of the Mythic Plus Abordon mount. I'm not sure how I say that. There have been new Mythic affix or new Mythic Plus affixes. So a couple of them are Incorporeal. While in combat, Incorporeal begins appearing and attempted to stabilize players with spells that reduce their damage and healing. Incorporeal. This doesn't sound like a word now. Beings are susceptible to all forms of crowd control. Okay, that's a bit weird. So do you, like, CC them? So would it be worth having a Druid to Cyclone them? So that they don't get this stacking debuff, and then when the debuff leaves? Okay, that's not too bad. New affix, Afflicted. While in combat, afflicted souls appear that seek the aid of players. Afflicted souls spawn a poison, curse, and disease affliction. Removing any of these afflictions or restoring the soul to full health causes it to despawn. Fail to remove their afflictions in time will inflict the player with the negative status effects. That's cool. I need to know what the status effects are, because that can have a real big difference. Also, what's the point? Would it just be so that you don't get these status effects? Because if there's some that is just you take a lot of damage, it's just like, okay, let the healer deal with it because there's a DPS loss? Or would it be you get some sort of reward for healing them or, dispelling them, that kind of thing? New Entangling. Well, in combat, Entangling Vines snare players. That's why I love being a druid. The following affixes have been retired for Season 2. Quaking, Grievous, and Explosive. Okay, that's kind of cool. Progression of when affixes are added to zones have been increased to higher levels, give players more time to accumulate to dungeons before additional mechanics come online, and to better match the complexity of Mythic Plus dungeons, the rewards it offers. So, at level 7, it was level 4, you get Afflicted, Entangling, Incorporeal, Storming, and Volcanic. You can get any of these. Keystone level 14 was level 7. You get Bolstering, Bursting, Raging, Sanguine, and Spiteful. Okay, very, very much makes sense. Fireack Assault. Fireack's forces are gathering resources at the fusion camps, located in Azerspan and Onaran Plains. It's up to the heroes of Azeroth to disrupt their efforts to lure Fireack and his disciples out. Fireack Assaults will become available alongside Season 2, so the week after the release. These are just to get some pieces of gear, to get these storms things or whatever they're called, to buy more gear, upgrade your gear, etc. New for alts. This is a big one. Cross-faction guilds. This is what everyone has been screaming for. So, players who have been enjoying cross-faction instances now have the ability to join the same guild as their opposite faction friends and benefit from conveniences like shared chat and group or guild repairs. Guilds are still affiliated with either Horde or Alliance, depending on the faction of the guild leader. Guilds' achievements and guild vendors, for example, will still reflect the guild's primary faction. Opposite faction members may benefit from unlocked shared perks, but may be unable to contribute to certain achievements. An example of this would be not expect Alliance members of a Horde guild to be able to contribute towards the Alliance Slayer guild achievement, which makes a lot of sense. Guild cross-faction guilds is a massive win for Blizzard. I do not know why they didn't do cross-faction at the end of BFA. Was a perfect time to do it, but it is what it is. So there is a new upgrade system, and I'm looking at it a bit weirdly right now. A new upgrade system will replace many of the various upgrade systems currently in place, such as Valor and Storm Gear, with a single system that covers most of the game. This is mainly for PvE. I'm pretty sure PvP remains the exact same as what it does now. The basics of the system are simple. You'll earn a new currency called Flight Stones from just about anything you do. Complete a world quest, kill a unique creature, run a mythic, kill a raid boss, etc. You'll also get items called Shadow Flame Crests or fragments of them, which come in 4 variations from different content difficulty levels. Shadowflame crests and their fragments will come alongside a wide variety of content, including outdoor gameplay, Mythic Plus dungeons and raids. You'll be able to upgrade almost any item in Dragonflight Season 2's max level gameplay ecosystem, whether it comes from a world quest or a heroic raid boss, for spending Flightstones and Shadowflame crests. Okay, this sounds completely like crazy, but essentially you're getting 3 different forms of currencies. One which is very much bare bones, very simple, so decent gear. You get the second one, which is kind of like heroic gear, and then you get the third one, which I would imagine is mythic gear. That's kind of what I'm reading it as. PvP, you remain the exact same. Characters get a few more customization options. So 4 new eye colors and 5 new hair colors to Nightborn. 4 skin tones, 4 hair colors to Dark-Eyed Dwarves. Blind eye options have been removed from eye color to the eyesight customization. Now, all eye colors from all races can be customized to be blind, which is very, very cool. Worgen, Calm the Wolf, has its racial changed, kind of like the dragon or the evoker one now. So whenever you leave combat, you can pick a form that you associate with, so it will instantly put you back into human form. And the main changes with classes, this will be where I end it. The main changes with classes, actually I'll check after, but these are the general ones. So Leech is providing to be a very strong sustain stat in Dragonflight. To keep it at an appropriate level of power and avoid marginalizing the importance of a healer's role to the group survival, we are reducing the value of Leech rating by 25%. Leech percent granted by talents remains unchanged. So Leech rating now grants 25% less Leech stat, which makes sense. Leech being whenever you deal damage, a portion of that damage is healed to you, which in my opinion shouldn't ever be a thing. It should only be a Demon Hunter thing, in my opinion. Developers notes, we've decided to increase both players' stamina and enemies' damage by 25% in Embers of Naufarium. This is a very much like adjustment that was made just before the launch of Dragonflight, and it's for the same reasons. Okay, when damage mitigation abilities and healing are too strong relative to players' health, the only way to threaten players is to make enemy damage very high and spiky. If healers can very quickly top off their teammates and mana isn't a limiting factor, enemies have been tuned to have the capacity to do burst damage that kills players before healers can react. That isn't very satisfying gameplay, which makes sense. It really isn't. You want your healers to be constantly healing rather than, oh shit, I'm dead, in one global, which happens way too often in PvP, I might add. This isn't very satisfying gameplay. Increasing players' health gives players more time to react to incoming damage and makes players' choice about cooldowns and mana management more meaningful. Along with this change, you'll see several adjustments to hybrid healing spells, items and enchantments, as well as percent-based healing spells. So this is kind of like my example is regrowth. I use a regrowth. I'm hard casting a regrowth, so I'm not doing any damage, I'm not doing anything. Hard casting a regrowth for 30k. 30 to 40k is my healing from regrowth. A enhancement shaman who gets an instant cast healing surge, who is meant to be a hybrid as well, I will add that. But an instant cast healing surge deals a potential 100k plus with their heals. That's a lot more substantial than my regrowths that I have to stand there and cast. So that's kind of where I'd like to see the adjustment, I'm not going to lie. Players' stamina increased by 25%. An enemy spell and melee damage increased by 25%. Self-healing and absorb shield spells for damage dealers and tanks have been increased to... oh my god, my brain just couldn't read that word. By a my brain has just gone into overload. I'm so sorry. To basically account for this. they remain an impact when in solo or supporting your group in terms of content. There is way too many things to go over in terms of like class changes. Way too many. It would take me about an hour just to do that alone. Go over to Wowhead to check it out. You can literally check out all there. It's got absolutely everything that you need to know and what is changing for 10.1. Massive shout out to Wowhead, because Wowhead do an amazing job, and that's where I get all of my info. And I think where pretty much everyone does for World of Warcraft. That's basically it. Apart from a few like minor tweaks here and there. Again, all of it can be found on Wowhead, but it's nothing that's too crazy from my honest opinion. Oh my god, yeah, I'm just scrolling down and it is all of it is just like changes. The best thing though, and I will end on this, is the user face and accessibility is getting a couple changes in terms of just like the group blue has been changed. It's getting a new redesign and a new look. A couple things with the edit menu that you can add. They fixed the pet bars for groups, which is really nice. Oh my god, they did it! Yes, they fixed it. Fixed an issue where a hunter's nameplate could disappear after using Feign Death. They fixed it. This has been a massive thorn in my side forever. Oh my god. In PvP, this is like the worst thing that you could ever see. They just Feign Death, and they do not have a health bar, and it's so obnoxious. Thank you. There's so many fixes that they've done as well, but again, it's all on Wowhead. There's too many to go over. I'm just sort of wanting to talk about the main points as it is. But that is it for this episode. Thank you all very much for listening, as always. Be sure to check out the Patreon, as well as Twitch and YouTube. A load of stuff happening over there. But thank you all very much once again, and go with Valor, friend.